Thanks so much for joining us for another edition of our open mic program. We do have Congressman Rick Crawford with us right now. And Congressman, thanks so much for taking time and talking with us.
You bet. Glad to do it.
Well, let's talk about President Trump's nominated Judge Amy Coney Barrett to succeed the late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Tell us what you think during the process, what's going to happen. And then also speak a little bit about Speaker Pelosi talked about impeachment. People don't even understand how this all works in the process. Explain what this is all about.
Well, number one, I'll comment on Amy Coney Barrett. I think she's a great choice. I think she'll be a great Supreme Court justice, and she'll be there for a long time. So that's good. She's a good, solid conservative, a constitutionalist, and she's not a judicial activist. And those are the things that I like most about her, aside from the fact that she's a person of faith and she's a family woman and all those other things. She is, I think, just the right choice to be on the Supreme Court. So having said that, there's a little bit of a steep climb here in terms of what the Senate minority might try to pull to derail her nomination. They're going to do everything they can to try to destroy her, much like they did with Kavanaugh. I would hope that they would have learned from the 2018 Kavanaugh debacle that what that did was sort of mobilize conservatives to a large degree. And I think that'll certainly have the same effect here. This will galvanize the conservative base, mobilize them and motivate them to go out and vote. So they need to be really, really careful. Aside from just the sheer fact that I think it is in beyond poor taste to attack this woman the way they're doing now, and some of the tactics that they're using, which is emblematic of people like Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi and their ilk. So it's a shame that it's taken place this way, but she will be confirmed. She will be on the Supreme Court, and it will happen probably before Halloween. Just for context, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, they confirmed her in less than 42 days. Justice Breyer, that was confirmed in 18 days. So it's not as though there's not precedent to move quickly. They've done it before. They'll do it this time. And I think that the hearing and markup in the Senate Judiciary is scheduled, I believe, for the 12th of October. And so they are going to move quickly. And the good news is a whole lot of Democrats have declined to speak with her, and that'll just expedite the process. So much the better. So that's what I see there. Pelosi is talking about impeachment again and again. That would be a huge mistake for her to make. And if she does at her own peril. You can see that impeachment did not go over well the last time. It won't go over again. If she does it this time, it won't go over again. Be a blunder on her part. It would have the effect of actually helping us regain the majority. So if she wants to do that, more power to her.
Now, what do some of your colleagues across the aisle feel about that? I know there's a lot of discussion going on. What is their take?
Quite frankly, there's not a lot of discussion these days between Democrats and Republicans on much of anything. It's a sad situation because, the people that we could reach out to and work with are people who were targeted by individuals like AOC. And so, for example, I'm the ranking member on the Rail Subcommittee on Transportation, and the chairman is a guy from Illinois, Daniel Lipinski. He and I have a great relationship, but he's not liberal enough for AOC, so she recruited a challenger, and guess what? He lost. And so when you see those kinds of members leave, it changes the discourse tremendously. So now you're seeing greater division between Democrats and Republicans because people like the Squad, these progressives, putting these litmus tests on members of Congress in their own party that you can't be liberal enough to suit them. And then they'll go out there and recruit challengers. And if you're not careful, you could find yourself in the situation that Lipinski is in. And so it makes it hard to communicate across the aisle with people who really just aren't willing. They are unyielding in their progressive agenda, and they don't compromise. And they won't even compromise with their own side, let alone ours. So that's the dynamic that's taking place right now.
Hopefully it'll get better. It doesn't seem like it will, though, that's for sure.
Well, I hope so. And what you're seeing take place right now in cities like New York and others, in California, the entire state of California, are people that are fleeing because of bad management by progressive Democrats like Bill de Blasio, like Governor Cuomo, like Governor Newsom in California, like Mayor Garcetti in Los Angeles. And their problems are getting worse. And so people are fleeing in droves, and they're coming to states like Texas, North Carolina, Georgia. And probably some of them might even come to Arkansas. And my concern is that when they come here, they don't forget what motivated them to flee California or New York or Illinois. I think people are welcoming and friendly and want to see their economies grow, but they want to do it the right way, and they don't want to see a whole bunch of people come in and bring a liberal agenda with them.
What do you see about tonight's debate? Any predictions?
Well, it should be entertaining, I'll tell you that. I don't expect a whole heck of a lot out of Joe Biden. He has struggled, gotten progressively worse over the last several months, refuses to engage the media because he struggles cognitively. He has a difficult time completing thoughts and putting together sentences, and he's in many cases not even coherent and relevant to the topic or the question that's asked, if he even gets a question, which is rare. And so I don't really expect a whole heck of a lot for him. And quite frankly, this is almost like, when Robert Mueller, we had him in front of us in the Intelligence Committee after he filed his much anticipated Mueller report that turned out to be a nothing burger. And it struck me that what we were watching were people who were basically manipulating, using Bob Mueller, who's also in a state of decline, and using his reputation and his image that had been stellar up to that point to hide their agenda. They took a good person like Bob Mueller, who had by all accounts been, a stellar public servant, and used his reputation as a Trojan horse for their political agenda against Trump. They're doing the same thing with Joe Biden. If Joe Biden ever did have any kind of a reputation of being a stellar public servant, which is questionable, he's no Bob Mueller, and that's not what I'm suggesting. What I am saying is that at least he was willing to work with the other side. He has been co-opted. Kamala Harris called him a racist. She called him a sexist. She questioned his claims, where he denied the sexual assault claims, all those things, but she was quick to jump on the bandwagon when she could become vice president potentially. So you see, there's no genuine authenticity about Joe Biden as a candidate. This is all done to tee up a progressive agenda by people like Kamala Harris and others in her camp and of her political leanings that are using Joe Biden to further their agenda. And I just wonder when, you have a loving wife that says, you know what, Joe, it's time for you to just come on to the house. But that's not the case because she wants to be the first lady. And so that's another, story in and of itself. I think that's almost sad, and it says an awful lot about the people that are really pushing Joe Biden.
And what do you think is going to be coming up leading up to Election Day? Do you think it's going to get worse in the media? I mean, it seems like we're in a very dirty
I don't know
politics.
how much worse it could get in the media, quite frankly. And but my answer would be yes, it probably will get worse in the media. There are no journalists anymore. So, let's just go ahead and disabuse ourselves of the notion that somehow there's going to be a revival of real journalism in this country. I think that train has left the station, and it's just not going to happen. What you have are a bunch of sensationalists, political ideologues, activists, and, paid shills that are doing everything they can, to carry the water for the Washington Democrat elites. And it's an absolute shame. It's a travesty, but that's our world, and that's what we have to live with.
Well, Congressman, as I always say, thank you so much for updating us what's going on in D.C., back here at home as well. And also just taking time. We know that you're backed up. Your backup log is amazing, what you got to get done in the day.
You bet. Glad to help.
We've been talking with Congressman Rick Crawford right here on Timeless 106.1 KFFB's Open Mic.